biggest symptoms I get when I'm anxious is like a racing heart, feeling of dizziness.
Fingers, like crack, like twitching is the way I feel. Like I want to move, I need to look away.
Sometimes I feel like I can't even breathe.
I feel like my heart beats a million miles per second.
Like I get like a lot of tense jaw, like, you know, I get a little bit of a headache.
We all grapple with worries, but when we just can't get out of our own heads or shut off our own minds, that's anxiety. Here's what's happening inside. Anxiety is largely driven by the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala is part of what some scientists call the primitive or lizard brain. It dates back to creatures that evolved millions of years before humans. That's because it drives an emotion crucial to survival: fear. Say you're crossing the street. If you see a threat, like an oncoming car, the amygdala alerts other parts of the brain to be ready for action. They command the body to release the stress hormone cortisol, raise your heart rate, and activate your muscles to get out of the way. And so we jump back without much thought. But that instinct was driven by the amygdala, relaying the clear and imminent threat. But what about a possible future threat? Say you get an unexpected text from your boss to call her in the morning. The newer part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, gets right to work. It helps us think and plan. Here, without much information, it starts spitting out possible outcomes. Someone complained about you, your boss is unhappy about your work, what if she wants to fire you? As those what ifs get more and more dire, they make you feel like you're actually in danger. You're not, but your mind thinks you are. That's anxiety, a fear of a future that's not real. Researchers are learning why some people cope well with occasional worries and why others suffer from more severe anxiety disorders, like post-traumatic stress disorder and obsessive-compulsive disorder.
It could also be a lot about the environment that you grow up in.
Maybe you're working multiple jobs and you don't really have that time to even decompress yourself.
A lot of the families that I've grown up with, a lot of the culture that I've grown up with.
You know, money and like not feeling like you have the ability to like take a day off of work because your company doesn't give you mental health days.
I think there's social media is a huge problem. We're constantly being compared on to celebrities or to influencers.
Heredity is an important factor. There's emerging evidence that anxiety may be passed down through genes. Parents' behavior also models anxiety for their kids who see how they cope. Research shows people with lower incomes suffer 3 times more from anxiety or depression than rich people. Poverty can also cause long-term anxiety. Triggers can include childhood trauma, reduced sleep, even a lack of air conditioning in the summer. According to studies, when people living in poverty got help to raise their income, their stress, anxiety, and depression dropped. And then add in social media. Simply talking to an anxious person can make you worry. Doom scrolling through others' worries can too. Basically, anxiety can be contagious. So if you find your anxious mind reeling with what ifs, there's good news. Anxiety is not a permanent state. You can reduce it.
I'm privileged. I work at a company that like genuinely like part of our sick time is like taking a mental health day. Like my parents didn't have that. Typically like doing some sort of like yoga, like something that gets my muscles moving.
To be honest, I actually just sought out professional help. You know, like I have a therapist now to like help with the anxiety.
Therapy is commonly used to reduce anxiety. It teaches our prefrontal cortex to replace spiraling what-if thoughts with curiosity or observations about our thoughts and feelings. Medicines like Prozac can also help. They work by increasing the level of serotonin in the brain, which seems to enhance positive moods. Science has shown several options for tackling anxiety. Find what works for you, and know you're not alone.